So hello guys, welcome. So we have now MacMillan. He was in top 16 and we're gonna do a small deck profile. So what did you play this weekend actually?
Oh well, yeah, I was playing Soirees, you know, a sort of toolbox wind heavy version of Soirees. Quite happy with how it performed in the end, so yeah, happy to chat about it.
And why did you opt for this deck? Why Soiree?
I feel like Soirees is one of the it's a really good for a best of one format because its worst matchups are around about 40% chance of winning. You have a lot of you can beat most decks if you EX well or draw well or play well.
This deck has a lot of EX.
It has a lot of EX. Mine is on 21 if I remember correctly. So it feels like a nice thing to go into a room with unknown decks. It's very varied meta and know that you can comfortably beat everything. Sometimes you don't get lucky, sometimes you misplay, and that's okay. So that's why I chose Soirees.
So during the Swiss round, what were your matchups?
I played against 3 category 13 hyper aggro decks. I beat all of them. I played against 2 Soiree decks against my friends from the YYC actually. My only loss on day 1 was actually against the Soiree deck that won the tournament, so I feel that's okay, my friend Brocky. And I played against an Earth Water deck and an Ice Earth deck.
Okay, so now let's check the deck profile.
Yeah, of course. So I've laid out all these cards with the Soirees, the normal
the Soiree pocket.
Yeah, we all know what these cards are. I'll just talk about the numbers that are a wee bit weird here. I'm only on 1 Lexa. I'm actually a very wind heavy version of Soirees, so 2 would be nice. I would say the second Lexa is my 51st card. I ended up taking Lex out for another backup that can also tap for wind, and I didn't feel like I missed the second one, but I do understand if you feel you're unlucky enough that you want to have the second one there. I'm
also kind of interested to see just only 1 Erwin.
I've seen people run 0 Erwin and I've seen people run 3. I like 1 because if you're in neutral, as in your opponent's not doing much and you're not doing much, he's an amazing play. So if you're neutral, you can just amber search him. Sometimes, not always. He's recursable and he's very searchable. Again, I think you could put up to 2 and I'd be happy. But I've only enjoyed the 1, and I don't think you need the 2, but you like the 2. I chose to run Soirees, and the best thing about Soirees, I think, in this meta, is that you get to run 3 of probably the best card in the game currently. Warrior of Light.
Made for Soiree?
Pretty much. He is absolutely nuts. I think the best, maybe not the best card in the game, but the best play you can make in Final Fantasy right now is tap 4 backups to play him onto the field, to draw a card. It's
it's just a free 10k first strike, brave.
It's amazing.
Everything.
This and a couple of other cards that I've put in this deck lets Soirees pretend like it's a wind deck, meaning it actually shows up some of his worst matchups against, for example, Mono Water. It's also really great anti-aggro if you're able to play another card, Cecil, into Warrior Light before you actually have the cards in hand or the backups to play him out. It can be an amazing ability to stave off category 13. Actually, all my games against category 13, I was able to do Cecil into Warrior Light, so I was very lucky for that. And
just also let them pay extra taxes.
Exactly. Now, if you're going to be playing Warrior Light, you obviously need backups to pay for him. So I am on 3 Tyro. This was where the second Lexa was. I became a 3rd Tyro. Honestly, just because of the EX burst.
Just off the EX?
Yeah. If you're scared of 13, this deck isn't a guaranteed win against 13. It can lose hard. But running a lot of EX bursts really helps yourself out. So I wanted to run as many as possible. Following on for that, I also have Shantoto, who is great anti-aggro, is good against Soirees itself, and taps for any element. So that's further for the Warrior Light cause. And next up, we have Thordan, one of my favourite cards, the best EX in the game. Just get whatever you want, it's amazing. On top of that, he has been instrumental in getting Warrior Light onto the field, either by getting the backups I need to pay for him, or getting the Warrior Light himself. This is kind of true of Tyro as well. I think Warrior Light I played in every game apart from like 2 all weekend. He's very easy to get out in this deck, and again, he's one of the best plays you can make.
Yes.
Next up, personally for Soirees, I feel like you need 2 of these cards, and I know not everyone agrees, but I think Soirees is weak without them. Tidus from Opus 10. Being able to bounce back Elvis which is, you know, an amazing tempo play. Bounce back medals, bounce back all your on-entry abilities. Bounce back Shantoto.
Basically, a second chance to reuse the card that you actually need to wipe the board.
Exactly. We found when we were playtesting versions without this Tidus, if you just didn't kill any of their forwards and dull froze them, for example, if you're in ice, you could just beat Soirees very easily. So this lets us give that second chance. And yeah, in my top 16 game, I lost twice. But the game I won was because I was able to Shantoto 3 times in a row. So
3 times.
because of Tidus.
Wow.
So I recommend that. Next up, I'm going to the next most important card is 2CP Zidane. Okay, yeah, shove it in one middle here. I absolutely love this card. The problem with it is it's some fire wind. Very difficult elements to play and feel like you're doing well with. So I feel like being able to play it in this deck with your Lexa, Elvis, Tyro and Shantoto has been exceptionally nice. I have, in 2 games this weekend, discarded a card and overpaid by 1 to play Zidane and felt comfortable doing so. He's fine being paid for 3 CP. He's a very, very strong card.
Sorry, but the overpayment that you so called, you get so much value out of that, it's worth it.
Exactly. It's very, very good against combo decks. It's amazing in the mirror because you can steal there's only a few cards in this deck that's scary for Soirees to face up against, and just getting rid of them, like Warrior Light for example, is amazing. Next up, we'll just talk about some consistency cards, I guess. I'm running 2 of these Arc. Not only is it very easy to get the 2k buff to boost the field, he is also an amazing EX burst. Along with this, we have 3 Kuseth, another amazing EX burst.
Kind of mandatory.
Yeah, I think 3 is mandatory. I know there's a lot of people on 2, but you will. I don't like Kuseth as much in other decks compared to this one. You only really want to do 1 or 2 plays a turn, and if Kuseth is just getting you the most broken forward in the game for you to do some cool things like that, I think it's worthwhile. On top of that, you can piece together any sort of, you know, forward, and including Shantoto to sort of piece together your plays for the next few turns. Next up in summons, we have 2 Mist Dragon. I would like 3 because I'm scared of the mirror. This is very good against FF6, Soirees, pretty much any Earth deck hates playing against Mist Dragon, and Fire decks, which there's not really many of nowadays. So I think you need minimum 2 Mist Dragon for this deck to feel very comfortable. Next up we have Alexander. This is what I'm going to call the tech slots. I don't think you need Alexander in your deck. I know the sort of Japanese version of this list that I was actually basing this on ran 2 of them. I think you could run 0 and run another summon like Cactuar. I know my friend Brocky was on, my friend Michael Stewart, he's on Cuckoo-Lane, and I feel like they're all very good cards. I think it's good to dedicate this slot to a card that can kill Yuffie, because Yuffie's terrifying. So this can kill Yuffie.
And that's why you opted for Alexander.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can run 1 of or 2 of Amaterasus and feel quite comfortable, but spoiler alert for the rest of the deck, I'm not running any of them. Next up we have the last 2 off before we get into a bunch of 1-offs. Fusoya, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm just going to move him here. We know what he's doing. Fusoya. Fusoya is very, very powerful. I think you need 2 because Ace Earth is scary, and it returns the backup that stops your forwards attacking to hand, and that gives you an extra turn of attacks.
Yes.
It's just a very easy deck to sort of register all of these effects. The same as how easy it is to play Warrior Light.
Exactly. It's also felt like Fusoya was so made for Soiree.
I agree with that. We were playtesting with Une for a while, and Une has a bit more instant gratification. You can do it earlier in the game and feel happy, but it's just not as powerful. It's just, you can kill a forward with this, you know, by putting on top of the deck and then attacking, guaranteeing no EX, which is a very, very nice play, and was instrumental in both the mirror matches I had throughout the day. Next, we have some 1-offs. Bash. I'm going to put him in Cecil here. I really, really like Bash just in this deck. I think you need 1. If you don't have 1 yet, please trade for 1 so you can put it in your Soiree deck. If you're early in the game,
just 1.
Yeah, just 1. I think you could run 2 and you're fine. But 1 just feels nice. It gets you Warrior Light if you're on 5 backups, and you can play Bash and Warrior Light. It gets you Zidane on 5 backups, which is nice. You can do Bash, take a damage, search the Zidane, and play that. I did a lethal with that once. He gets you your backups early if you've missed play them, like if you don't have your Amber out yet, you've been just in turn 1 Elvis, he lets you get Amber to then complete your curve. A very, very powerful card. I was going to drop him, and then I missed him instantaneously when I took him out. The next card I'm quite happy with is Sophie. This is a new hero from this set, and I think she is my favourite 1-of in this deck. Every game she's hit the board, she's made an amazing impact in the game. A very fun play to make that is very powerful and accelerates the game a whole turn for you compared to your opponent is if you Thordan or Tyro to get to be the 4th backup that lets you play Warrior Light, you can search for the Sophie, play the Sophie, activate your backups, and then play the Warrior Light, and then play another thing. And if your opponent's not prepared for that, or if this is just after you've been board wiped, for example, they are very intimidated by that. So
they feel the pressure again.
Exactly. And also you'll notice for these two, there's a sort of leitmotif of I hate mono water and I hate mono wind. These cards are very good against the really scary monsters like Atomos, Biblos and Tross. So being able to kill them on a body or kill them and draw a card feels very, very nice. The last two of I think we have Susano. He is just great. He's a second Chantoto. I like him more than the second Chantoto because he has haste. And you'll notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and there's another one, is there? 10. Okay, that's it. There's 10 cards in my deck that have haste.
So 1/5 of the deck is basically haste.
Exactly.
For the 1 damage that you probably would have missed.
Exactly, which is very, very scary. So sometimes you can just get, if you have some Soirees out, your opponent board wipes you, they Chantoto. Yes. Sometimes you can go Warrior Light, Sophie, Merald, something along those lines, and now you're attacking 3 times and they don't have the cards now, they're not ready for this.
Because they already wasted their resources to Chantoto you, to clear your board, and they have to recover while you just basically get a free resource again from Warrior of Light and utilize and get free damage.
Exactly, exactly. And then we're talking as if you're going to be setting up consistently here. With 16 backups, 17 backups, you usually do set
it's
up.
Quite high for the current meta because we have seen quite low numbers.
I agree with that. I think Soirees is one of the few decks that can get away with that. Yeah, just because you have so many you need. The thing that makes it okay in Soirees is they all have EX bursts.
Yes.
That's what makes it okay. And the last card I want to show off today, because it's the 50th, is Ace. I think this is the worst card in the deck. I really like it though. He is slow to play. There are better play a guy, kill a guy sort of cards. The only difference with him is he has an EX burst. So you now have 1, 2, 3, and 4 EX bursts that can kill a forward during your opponent's turn, which is very, very useful for the 13 matchup, for example. Actually, he saved me in my second 13 matchup. I would have lost that game without him. So I'm thankful he was here. I think you can take him out. I think other really cool cards you can play is the Final Fantasy VIII Gilgamesh. He's very, very powerful. He's another haste card, and he can break a forward for sort of the same cost that Ace can kill a forward with.
Yes, so earlier you were saying that opt to go for Ace for the difficult matchup against 13. So can we kind of say that that was your most difficult to deal with in the current
It was
tournament?
The most stressed I've been playing, yeah. I think...
Because you kind of felt like you were playing against time, or...
Pretty much, yeah. You're just hoping to get very lucky, and you hope your opponent gets very unlucky with it, and shifting that luck with it, being able to control what luck you can by increasing the number of EX bursts you have is one of the few ways you can control that matchup, I think. So that was one of my intentions, was having my EX burst count be very high for that. My next matchup I was taking for was Mono Wind and the Mirror. The Mirror I feel can be best won with select cards. If you are drawing equally as good as each other, you want to focus on getting Zidane out, Warrior Light out, Sophie can be quite nice, Chantoto and Mist Dragon. These are very, very powerful in the mirror. So that was my next big threat. I think Final Fantasy 13 and Soirees in any room, especially in the UK, will be very popular.
I see. So now that you're done with the tournament, ended up in top 16, are there any changes you would kind of do on your Soiree deck that you were kind of not happy with?
I don't even know. I liked everything, honestly. I only lost against the Mirror in FF6 all weekend, and that FF6 was just played very well, and the person who was playing it played it effectively and was able to beat me. He had a bit more experience with the matchup against me than I had against him, and he came second, so I applaud him for that. That being said, I think I'm happy with this version of the deck, and if you yourself are at home and wanting to build a similar deck to this, you can customize it however you want. I think the one-off slots are the most customizable. However, I think you definitely need to keep the bash. Please keep the bash if you're changing any of the one-offs.
Or he will bash you.
Yeah, and the 2 Titas.
Okay, so thank you, Michael, for the deck profile. Are there any last words you want to say?
Oh yeah, I guess well done to Brocky and the YY team. It's good to have a Scottish person finally win a tournament. Very, very proud of you, man. And yeah, play Soirees if you want to do decent in a best of 1 format.
Okay, thank you. And congrats on top 16.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day, everyone.